Hello and welcome to Eye of Gnosis Tarot. My name is Ewan and today we are carrying on with the Court Cards of the Cups suit by looking at the Queen of Cups. Now if you haven't done already, I highly recommend looking at the Suit of Cups playlist as well as the Knight of Cups video I have just done, as well as a video I have done about all the court cards to give much more context to each of them. And indeed, if you're going to watch one of those, please do at least watch the court cards video. So if you want to go straight to the Divinatory Interpretations of this card, I have put a timestamp down below in the description. I recommend, as always, to watch the video in its fullest at least once, so you understand how to use this card in divination. So without further ado, we are going to look at the Queen of Cups. So in this card we see this blue-skinned woman in a dress of violet and lilac. And she is looking over this still lake. In her left hand, which is on the right, she is holding this shell-like cup with a crayfish coming out of it. And then in her right hand on the left hand side of the card we see her holding this white lotus flower and also caressing this white ibis. A mystic aura seems to rise from the lake and come together around the Queen's head, which is of course barely visible within the aura. We see it reflected here upon the lake. And there is this massive full moon framing her countenance, and it's quite difficult to see, but the gold is indeed her crown. So she has this giant golden crown which encompasses the full moon. And as I said, the lake reflects the scene and hosts these two lotus flowers. And we have a golden lotus flower and a silver lotus flower. So now I'm going to look at the meaning behind this card. So the Queen of Cups is known as the Water of Water, and she rules the last third of Gemini and the first 2/3 of Cancer. She represents the reflective quality of the psyche and also the embracing nature of compassion. She is calm and serene in her aquatic realm, and her nurturing nature means there is little that she could want for. And when we look at this card, the arrangement of it very much echoes that of the Two of Cups. And this displays the Queen's love, harmony and receptivity. In this sense, we have the two lotus flowers like we saw in the Two of Cups, and the Queen is in the same position as the single lotus flower rising. So we have lotus flowers holding the cups in that card, and then the single lotus flower pouring the water into them. And furthermore, we look at Atu 2, the High Priestess. We can actually place this card in reverse on top of the Queen. So I'm just going to go and get that card now. So here we are. I get the High Priestess card just to show you what it looks like. Indeed, we can probably cross it over a bit more, but I think that's probably the best way to put it. We see that the image reveals the cosmic egg. And this is a concept we will touch upon much more in other videos, particularly those major arcana. And this cosmic egg demonstrates where the Queen of Cups inherits her divine feminine qualities, and the mantra, as above so below, very much applies here with these two cards. And indeed they share quite a similar colour palette as well. So I'll just put the High Priestess back. There we are. Now when we look at the mystic aura surrounding the Queen of Cups, this is the spirit in Yesod, the 9, so please do go look at the 9 of Cups video to understand that. And it is rising through Tippereth, the 6 of Cups, and joining with Kether, the Ace of Cups, via the High Priestess. And this is a passage only made possible by the Queen's presence. And when we look at the Tree of Life, we see that it is the High Priestess which connects Tippereth to Kether. Now this aura also obscures the Queen's features, and it implies a mysterious and elusive quality to the monarch of emotions. And this is very much reflected when we look again at the High Priestess card. We have this veil of Maya covering her. This is essentially the fact that we cannot put a definition on being and empty space. It just is. Now the crayfish, which is barely visible, you just see it there, rising out of the shell-like cup of our Queen, is both a representation of Cancer and Scorpio, and this is essentially combining the crab with the scorpion to create and this isn't how it works in biology, but in symbolism, a crayfish does very much look like a combination of the two. And this symbolises purity and rejuvenation, as crayfish populations often reflect the purity of the water that they live in. And of course, these are qualities very much associated with Cancer and Scorpio. The white lotus in the Queen's right hand is that of the Ace of Cups, and this symbolises enlightenment and rebirth, qualities that connect it to both Isis, the Great Mother in ancient Egypt, and indeed the figure we see in the High Priestess card, as well as Lakshmi, the consort of Vishnu in Vedic traditions. Now, Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth, as she is the universal concept of maintaining. And this can be a wealth of any kind. In the modern era, she's very much associated with money, but when we look back at traditional depictions of Lakshmi, there is a more universal sense of what that wealth is. And finally, the Queen's Cup is also shaped like a conch shell. And this is the divine instrument of Vishnu, which he uses to produce the sound of creation, which is, of course, the Om. We talked about this in the Ace of Cups. Thus, the conch shell is associated with healing, protection, prosperity, and fertility. Now, when we go back to the connection with Isis in this card, we see the ibis here, and this is a symbol of Thoth, of which the deck is named after. In Egyptian myth, it was Thoth, the god of knowledge and wisdom, magic and writing, who gave Isis the words to bring her husband Osiris back to life. And we see that Thoth is analogous, I think that's how you pronounce it, to Hermes and Odin, and Hermes is of course Mercury. Thus the ibis also represents the Queen's Gemini aspect, for Mercury rules Gemini. When combined with her dominant Cancer aspect, this demonstrates an individual who can think about emotions and reflect upon them. The gold and silver lotuses in the foreground of this card here is actually something I did not notice the first time I looked at this card. I just saw lotuses, I didn't realise they were different colours. These represent the balance of the divine masculine and divine feminine principles. The gold flower is representative of the sun, which is often associated with the masculine, and the silver flower is associated with the moon, which is often associated with the feminine. And behind the Queen's radiant crown is, of course, the full moon, and this emphasises her feminine nature and also her connection to the High Priestess, which is ruled by the moon, and of course the moon rules Cancer. This vast moon is reflected in the still pond below as a further representation of the Queen's highly reflective, peaceful and passive nature. There's quite a lot of meaning within the Queen of Cups card, and now we're going to look at the Queen of Cups in divination, so as a person and in your readings. So the Queen of Cups is a quiet and contemplative soul, and she is one who can look into the depths of emotion and swim the tides of life. She is a conduit for the mystery of creation, and in her endless reflections she sees all that is, all that was, and all that could have been. Very much a Galadriel kind of figure. And all these things belong in her delicate arms, yet few will ever see her and see her true face. As a person, the Queen is a predominantly feminine energy, no matter the gender, and is arguably the closest of the court cards to the pure divine feminine. And this is again reflected by that reflection with the High Priestess card, who is the divine feminine. They are embodied by personalities that tend to be passive, intuitive, reflective and caring, and they are also very calm and have a dreamy quality to them, as if they were an ethereal nereid from some long-forgotten realm beneath the waves. The Queen of Cups' reflection upon and understanding of emotions, together with their deep empathy, makes them brilliant healers, counsellors, and contemplative philosophers. Yet these passive and reflective qualities can often lead to little or no boundaries in the lives of these queens. As the water of water, they both reflect and absorb everything that they come across. This often means that their persona tells us more about the environment in which they're in and the people around them than it actually does about the individual. In their innate desire to understand and heal others, these queens can often become lost in situations and swiftly forget themselves at the expense of others. When lost to this aspect, Crowley describes these individuals as thus: they have no character at all of their own, unless it can be called a characteristic, to be at the disposition of every impact or impression. Again, that's very much a ill-dignified aspect to the Queen. In divination, the Queen of Cups represents reflection, passivity, and pleasure in a flow sense. When well dignified, the card is imaginative, poetic, kind, sensitive, and emotionally deep and reflective. When ill-dignified, the card is vague, dreamy, confused, diffused, and impressionable. Now, if you ever meet a Queen of Cups, they will happily listen to all your whims and woes for hours on end, yet you will probably leave that conversation knowing little about them at all, let alone their name. as they are very passive individuals. So that has been the Queen of Cups. If you enjoyed what you saw today, I really would appreciate you putting a like on this video, as it really helps the channel. And if you want to see more tarot tutorials on the cards as well as different spreads and readings I do for the zodiac signs, then do hit that subscribe icon and the bell so you don't miss any future videos. So that has been the Queen of Cups. We'll be looking at the Prince of Cups next time, and I look forward to seeing you in that video. May peace be with you all, and goodbye.